Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. This is an infuriating story. I'm just going to warn you up front. And it's the perfect example of why progressives like myself say that any old Democrat is not good enough. People think that we're being too tough. People think that we're being purists. The reason is policy. And so I'm going to tell you up front, I need you guys to sign a petition about this matter. I've placed a link in the description box below, but I want to say that up front in case you don't hang with me till the end. But here's the deal. Here's why I'm so pissed off today. California is a heaven on earth for liberal Democrats, right? It's supposed to be one of the most progressive states in the country. Yet, the state assembly just killed a bill that would provide universal health care to residents in California under what was being called CalCare. And this could have been a model for other states in the country. If this program is successful in California, it could provide the help to people to not only save lives here in California and fuel the economy, but it could have been a federal model. It could have been a model for a federal program. And understand, just because health insurance is available doesn't mean it's affordable. Those are two different things. And there are a lot of people who fall through the cracks because we have Medi-Cal here in California, and that is to provide health insurance to low-income individuals. I know all about it. It's what I had when I was a teenager, when I had my son. I didn't have health insurance. So I know very well what the very stringent rules are surrounding that program. And you get pretty crappy care. There's not a lot of doctors who accept it, not a lot of hospitals that accept it. The ones that do are pretty much, community service, and not to put them down, but they just don't have the funding. So, it's not the best. And so this was going to provide universal health care for everyone. And understand, Democrats control 56 out of 80 seats in California. They have a massive majority in the California State Assembly. But the assemblyman, Ash Kalra, I believe is how you pronounce his name, he chose not to bring the bill up for a vote because he said there wasn't enough support to pass it. In a statement on this matter, Kalra said, quote, "Despite heavy opposition and substantial misinformation from those who stand to profit from our current healthcare system, we were able to ignite a realistic and achievable path towards single payer and bring AB 1400 to the floor of the Assembly. However, it became clear that we did not have the votes necessary for passage, and I decided the best course of action is to not put AB 1400 for a vote today." Are you freaking kidding me? Democrats hold 56 out of 80 seats. How is it they don't have support? This is why I'm always on my soapbox saying Democrats complain that, we can't do it. It's the mean, nasty Republicans. No, they don't want to do it. The Republicans are just a great scapegoat. Not only do Democrats control the assembly in California, but as everyone knows, we also have Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, who would have signed the bill into law. Now, does he really want to do it? I mean, he's funded by insurance companies. He's funded by Big Pharma. But it was one of his promises when he ran for election in 2018. He promised a universal healthcare program for California. This is a majoritarian issue. This is not a red or blue issue. This isn't Democrat versus Republican. When polled across the country, overwhelmingly, the majority of people in this country believe that we should have universal healthcare, just as every other industrialized country already has. Germany, Japan, Italy, Sweden, Australia, Denmark, Canada, the UK, France. There's so many, I can't even name them all. Why is it that they have it and yet we don't here in the United States? They're all living, they're all breathing, and you know what? They actually have better health outcomes than we do here in the US. There's no reason for it other than greed and corporate interests. It is unconscionable that we have human beings living in this country who can't even seek treatment when they have a life-threatening illness or disease because they either don't have health insurance, because they slip through the cracks, because a lot of people aren't poor enough to qualify for Medi-Cal, but they're not wealthy enough to get insurance and to pay for an insurance policy. And even if they can pay for the policy, they can't afford the copays. They can't afford the deductibles. I'm talking $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 maximum copays for the year, and a deductible that is almost as much. So you have to meet those copays and deductibles before you can get a lot of treatments. Or you have to pay 30%, 40% of the total out of pocket. People don't have that money. It is sickening and abhorrent. But tell me again how we're the greatest country on earth? Bullshit. We're the wealthiest country on earth, yet all we seem to care about is bailing out the wealthy and the too big to fail corporations. It is our time, you guys. It's time that our tax dollars start paying for something that we need, not just to bolster the bottom line of people who don't need the money, who can readily afford the top tier health insurance policies with the lowest deductibles and the lowest copays. And for all of my liberal Democratic friends out there who are watching, I love you guys. I hope now that you can understand why the whole vote blue no matter who mantra is a losing proposition. If Democrats really want to change the narrative in this country, and I believe that we do, and especially if we hope to maintain or I don't know how, but somehow increase our numbers in Congress. We can't just keep voting for these middle of the road, so-called safe candidates. Because what people around the country are seeing is that nothing ever changes. So they figure, why keep voting for Democrats? Why keep giving Democrats power? Why give them the House, the Senate, the presidency, if they're not going to use that power to make people's lives better? And if our Democratic representatives are all bought and paid for by big pharma, the insurance industry, every other big corporation, just as Republican lawmakers are, then people say, what's the difference? Oh, because they put up an LGBTQ flag? Because they put a BLM mural on the street? So they can back the right cultural issues, but that's not going to turn out voters. Those things are important to me too, but it will not drive votes. And guess what? That leaves the door open for Republican candidates. And then they take control of government. And guess what happens? LGBTQ issues, racial issues are then on the chopping block. So if you care about bigotry and all of the other cultural issues, as I do with a great passion, then you want Democrats to start implementing policies that address the needs of working class voters across the spectrum. Because without them, without working class voters, Democrats are going to lose control of everything in DC and then say goodbye to LGBTQ rights, say goodbye to police reform, any hope of it. and Black Lives Matter. So I hope you guys will sign the petition in the description box below. Even if you don't live in California, I think it will help because California is the most powerful state in the country. California's economy is the 5th largest in the world, not just the United States, you guys, the world. So if we can make this happen and it's successful here in California, I can almost guarantee that other states will follow. So I'm also going to leave a link to the California State Assembly member page. If you do live in California, I hope you'll look up your assembly member and reach out to them and tell them you want this bill brought up for a vote and you demand that they vote yes on it. Also, when you contact them, I want you to ask them, what type of insurance do they have? What type of insurance do they enjoy on your dime? Ask them how much they pay for it every year. Ask them what their copay is, what their deductible is. I guarantee it's zero or close to it. I called my rep's office this morning. He's a Republican, unfortunately. And I was told he doesn't support AB 1400 because of the costs. So I asked the guy who answered, what type of health insurance does he have? And you know what the guy told me? He doesn't use the taxpayer paid insurance because he's a retired battalion chief with the fire department. Oh, so he has health insurance from the other taxpayer funded program. Firefighters are paid with tax dollars. You know, firefighting, it's one of those scary socialist services offered here in the United States. The fire department, the police department, roads and bridges, freeways. Yeah, that's all socialism. Thank you very much. So this guy, as I told him, has not just one, but 2 health insurance policies funded by we, the taxpayers. Yet he's denying us what he has 2 times over. How nice for him. And then he tried to pivot, and they will do this. If you have a Republican representative in California, they will pivot. They'll try to blame the Democrats. The guy said, oh, well, you do know Democrats pulled the bill. They decided they weren't going to take a vote on it. And I told him, yeah, I'm very aware. There's plenty of rot on both sides of the aisle. There's plenty of Democrats who, just like Republicans, take big pharma money, take insurance company money. But I also told him that Republicans could have made up the difference. They could have stepped up and made up the difference in the votes and helped to pass this bill. And oh, what do you know? He didn't have an answer for that. So it's easy to find your rep, guys. Like I said, I'll leave the link below. You just type in your address and it'll tell you who your representatives are. And moving forward, just make sure when you vote for a Democratic candidate, just make sure they're not taking money from corporate interests. Because if they are not working on your behalf. Understand that. They're not going to do anything to help your life unless it aligns with their corporate donors' interests. And I don't even need to mention, I mean, if you have a Republican candidate, they're all funded by corporate interests. To my knowledge, there's not a single one that's funded solely by small dollar donations. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.